everyone, it's Ella, also known as Jaraoni on Instagram, and I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do some of my favorite effects on After Effects for your edits. These are effects for your baddie edits, mostly. I don't know, maybe, you can apply some of these to your ship edits or soft edits, but let's get on to the video. Okay, so the first effect we're going to be doing is this scaling thing where it's transparent and gets bigger, and it just adds a little bit of spice to your edits. So make sure you just are in a pre-comp and you duplicate your first layer, and then we're going to add looks, but this is optional, so I'm just going to do it first just because I like to pick the color. But just pick any looks, honestly, and it'll look better. You can go through all your colors and just pick something, and that's my favorite thing to do when I'm doing this effect, is just to pick a different color every time I do it. So right now I'm just going to scroll and find something. Anything works. You can play around with it later, but I'm just going to choose this one, and these colorings will actually be for sale soon. I have not finished making them though. Okay, then we're going to go towards the beginning or middle, and we're going to chop the first part of it off. So this is where I want it to start going with the opacity. So I'm going to do first keyframe 0, last keyframe 100, and then we're going to play with the scale just so it gets bigger as it fades in. So just like that, it's that easy, and it does look pretty good to add to your edits. So yeah. Okay, next effect we'll be doing is this little mid zoom in, and you can add, also showing how to add tint, but first I just put a zoom out shake preset in there, and then we're going to go into that layer and we're going to add blur mode curves. And this is kind of where it gets a little complicated. You don't have to make it this complicated, but I'm complicated with my keyframes. So I'm just going to put a Z-Disc keyframe with blur mode curves right there, but I'm going to actually drag it to the beginning so I can get to the end, because I want the keyframes to be really far apart. Then I'm going to do 0.720, then I'm going to highlight F, and then I'm going to do the easy ease, and I'm going to pull those keyframes towards where I want it to start zooming in on the person. But I wanted the other keyframe not to be visible, because I like when there's the keyframes are really far apart. So yeah, then do graph, and then I'm going to pull that out a little bit. This is so complicated, but this is just the way I do it. I pull it out, and then I drag the rest of the graph so I can reach it. And then you'll see I like how it continue zooming in. And if you do the keyframes closer, it's just going to look really choppy, because it's just gonna stop moving at one point, and it's just gonna be awkward with nothing. Then I'm gonna split it just like that, and then we're gonna add brightness and contrast like I usually do in my transitions, right where the transition starts. So I'm gonna add brightness and contrast to brighten up the other half, and you'll see it looks a little bit better right there. And then we are going to, this is the optional part, but sometimes I like to add tint. You can do rainbow, you can do one color, you can do flickering, but you can just play around with the keyframes. And I'm going to keyframe 6 keyframes for the rainbow, since I'm doing a rainbow flicker. And yeah, I'm going to speed this part up a little bit when I start choosing colors. So basically you just put 6 keyframes, and then you start choosing your colors. Okay, so after you've done your 6, I just highlight and copy and paste so I don't have to do it again. And as however long your clip is, it's going to be a pain. So I just copy and paste it so the rainbow starts again, just like that. And that's pretty much it. This next transition effect kind of is, there's a lot to it, and you can basically have to play around with it a lot. So you're going to need 2 clips for this, and you're going to go to your first clip and add wipe for wedges. And you can just see me playing around with it. It's basically like an X. So you're going to want to start doing the keyframe. So I press U on my keyboard, then scroll to around the end, and then keyframe it to wherever I want it to start. So you can go all the way, you can do it a little bit. I usually do almost all the way, so it's 10%, almost 0. Then you're going to want to go to your graphs, and this is where you can kind of get picky with it. I just fix my graphs for hours, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to not be as picky about it and just show you guys the basics of the transition. So yeah, you can do something like this, and there's a lot to play with white for wedges. You can play with the edge softness. You can also play with the angle if you want to keyframe the angle so the X spins around a bit, but just like that. And that's it, but you can do so many optional things. You can add twitch, you can add a coloring like I usually do. So we're gonna add You can have brightness and contrast, which I'm about to do, and you just like, I've showed you guys how to do this many times, but you just like keyframe 2 times, and the first one I usually do 150 since it's pretty bright like that, but like see it like add some coloring. Then you can add looks if you want to. You can also do a twitch shake right there, so like it looks smoother, but sometimes I add looks, and you just pick any coloring you want just to make your edit like after you add your main coloring, like I don't know, it just adds dimension to your edit a little bit, I feel like. So you can pick any coloring you want. I'm really picky with my colorings, but like I just picked this random coloring in my pack that I made, and you can do something like that. I don't really like how it looks now. I would have picked a different coloring just because that one looks kind of ratchet. But yeah, you just play around with it from there. I'm just gonna like do a really quick shake. It's pretty ratchet, but I just add blur mode curves. I usually do a Y shift shake or a twitch shake, but I'll show you guys how to do twitch shakes in another video. You just add a few keyframes for this one, 2 right next to each other, then you just like keep adding keyframes just so like it's not really a harsh shake. So yeah, like I do a little bit up, and then you would do a little bit down on the next one, and then back up like just a little bit, and then it would go to 0 at the end. But you don't want the 0 to be in like you want it to be towards the end, so like the shake is constantly moving a little bit. So I'm just gonna add reflect, and then you're gonna see it's like really ratchet. So I'm just gonna adjust the keyframes a bit. I'll just speed this part up. You can also do things like zoom in I taught you in the last effect. Like just anything. I just play around with it a lot in my edits. You might see this X a lot, but yeah. And then I also sometimes just lower the opacity on the first clip just so it like goes dark and then bright again, just like that. And just that's basically it. The next effect I'm going to be teaching you guys is omino diffusion. I'm pretty sure that's what you call it, omino diffusion, omino. But you actually need the omino plugin for this one, so if you have it, just stay. If you don't, you can skip this one. Okay, so what I do is you mess with arrow across, and then you bring it towards the end, and then I'm going to change it to like 1.3, 1.4. It doesn't really matter. And that's like basically it, but you can also change the color count, and I really like red if you didn't know. So I just did color count to 3 usually because I like the red effect. You really just have to play around with this transition. There's a lot that can go wrong. You just have to have the right moment in the edit to use this. I usually use this at flicker sounds. Like you can see the more color count you add, like they just add colors. You can like fix arrow aside, just like you can just mess with it honestly, and that's it. Like I usually do this like when it like goes dark in the first clip and then it like flickers after that. You might see this a lot in my baddie edits. So yeah, and then like you can just see like there's like different stuff you can do with debug. Yeah, I don't really use that part though. And you can change the direction that it goes in. I usually just end up doing right though. Okay, this little effect I do, it's really, really simple. It's just like a glitch. Like, I don't know how to do it. It's like an aesthetic glitch that I usually add to some clips or my whole edit in general. Like, a lot of people do this with the aesthetic. You can do this. I'm going to show you how to do it with the BCC plugin, and you can also do it with just no plugins at all. So, like, I like how it looks. I usually do 3 frame separation, but also you can add the regular After Effects plugin, and then you can just mess with the frame rate and make it like this is when you don't feel like using Twixtor or when you want it to be a little bit more aesthetic, I guess. I usually just play with this instead, or when my Twixtor's broken a lot, it breaks a lot, but yeah, I usually just use that.